I'm delighted to be with you virtually today in my new role as the Secretary of State for Levelling Up, Housing and Communities. I'm sorry I cannot be there in person as I would like, but I hope over the coming weeks and months I will get a chance to meet and talk to as many of you as possible as we work to deliver for our country and earn the chance to do so again at the next general election. I want to start with a simple core proposition. Levelling up matters. It matters economically, it matters politically, it matters morally. This spring, I visited a St Pius X Catholic primary school in Park End in my constituency. Park End is a ward in Middlesbrough, not far from where I grew up. It's one of the most deprived communities, not just on Teesside, but in the whole of the UK. But it's also home to people who are determined, resilient and proud of their community, their town and their country. I had lunch with the pupils at St Pius's. You could not find a nicer, more thoughtful, polite and friendly group of children. They were an absolute credit to their head teacher, Mrs Walker, their parents and to each other. And it was a visit that stayed with me. Because delivering on Levelling Up is about transforming the life chances of those children and children across the country. For too long, Middlesbrough has been one of a scores of places across this country that have been associated with economic decline and all the social ills that come with that. High unemployment, higher crime, and lives blighted by the fear of it, and lower life expectancy. I'll return to the Teesside story in a moment, but it has much wider applicability. For Middlesbrough, be it Blackpool or Burnley or other northern towns, and not just towns and cities in the north. I could equally well be speaking of parts of Glasgow, or the Welsh Valleys, or Jaywick in Essex, or Hastings on the south coast. Levelling up matters to all these places and more. The task of delivering it is the work of a generation. The prize of delivering it is enormous. If the performance of the bottom performing quarter of places by productivity were to be levelled up to the median, the boost to productivity would be equivalent to a pay rise of around £2,300 for individuals in the poorest areas. Levelling up is about kickstarting growth in the areas where it's hardest, the areas of our country that have been left behind in previous pushes for growth. We want to turbocharge success, but to do that, we must recognise that we're not working on a level playing field. It is my job, and that of this government and our party, to address this. And here I would say one thing above all else. We have no lessons to learn from the Labour Party. The legacy of the last Labour government on these questions was one of failure. Their solution to a lack of jobs was an unsustainable expansion of the public sector that did nothing to deliver economic opportunity or resilience. They squandered the opportunities of a time of global stability and affluence on gimmickry, ducking the hard challenges of public sector reform. Labour ignored the Midlands and the North when they were in power. For every 10 private sector jobs created in London and the South between 1998 and 2008, only one was created in the Midlands and the North. And they patronised and ignored the voices of Britain's left-behind communities in a way that reached its logical nadir in their arrogant response to the people's decision to leave the European Union, that was embodied by no one more than Keir Starmer. Labour is no longer trusted by the places that need levelling up the most. Instead, we've been given the chance to deliver for them. And so far, our Conservative government and Conservative local leaders across the UK have made excellent strides in this direction. The work done by my predecessors to get the Levelling Up mission off the ground means we're already seeing tangible change from Stoke to Teesside, and I'm absolutely determined we should continue in this fashion. But we must also go further, be bolder, and be more ambitious. We must continue to help rejuvenate our local areas, support our high streets, and re-instill a sense of community. But we must also take more fundamental action to unleash our local economies, drive growth, and boost opportunity too. In delivering this agenda, I'm fortunate to have the support of a truly brilliant ministerial team. Paul Scully as Local Government Minister and Minister for London, Andrew Stevenson taking the lead on vital issues like homelessness and supporting Ukrainian refugees, Lee Rowley as Housing Minister working tirelessly to unlock the homes we need, Deanna Davison, my near neighbour in the North East, as Levelling Up Minister, Baroness Jane Scott, our champion in the House of Lords, as well as our whips Nigel Huddleston and Olivia Bloomfield, and our excellent PPSs Jason McCartney and Simon John. I could not be more glad to have their support and advice, and I could not be more grateful to our Prime Minister for making it so clear how much of a personal priority this work is for her. Now, recent weeks should have quelled any doubts about this government's appetite for bold action. Last month's fiscal statement was defined by its ambition and scope, and at DLUC, we're really hitting the ground running. I'm proud that our work on investment zones holds its place on so many exciting announcements that fire the starting gun on our mission to grow our economy. Investment zones represent an amazing opportunity for every corner of our country and illustrate perfectly how this government intends to go further on levelling up. They're a truly exciting and meaningful offer to help accelerate homes, development and enterprise across the UK. They'll bring jobs and opportunity to the areas that need them most, boosting growth on local people's terms. They will roll back the bureaucracy that shackles our local economies to bring homes and jobs to families across the UK. We remain committed to the same outcomes we've always been clear on the environment and beyond, but are determined to speed up the processes to get growth going. Investment zones are ultimately defined by three things. The first is consent. We're absolutely clear that these zones must be led by the people who know best what their area needs and what it does not. There will be no top-down imposition of these arrangements on anywhere that does not want them. Don't get me wrong, I'm passionate about the benefits that these zones can bring and I will advocate for them wherever I can. But ultimately, if local people decide an investment zone isn't for them, then that will be the final word. The second principle is a targeted and precise action. Investment zones will target specific and effective sites that would benefit from accelerated development and a tax structure that incentivises investment. This is a practical proposal for change. Which brings me to the third principle of pragmatic acceleration. This is an outcomes-focused policy that seeks to accelerate investment, development and growth. That means finding where things can be sped up and doing it, not revisiting already shovel-ready projects and slowing them down. I'm delighted we've already got the portal open for local areas to submit their applications to get an investment zone in their area. And let me give you a sneak preview conference. The reception from MPs, councils and mayors alike has been fantastic. Investment zones are the first major step that we've taken in this new look government to deliver on our promise to level up in a conservative way. This conservatism will guide our agenda across the department's portfolio, which is why I'm also steadfastly committed to increasing home ownership. Getting more people on the housing ladder to give people security, a stake in society and somewhere to call their own is a fundamentally conservative goal. Investment zones will help deliver many of the homes that we need, but we must go further. I want to reassure those hoping to get on the housing ladder that you remain at the heart of our agenda for government. In the coming weeks, I'll be fleshing out how we intend to get more homes on the market and improve access to those homes. This will build on the work of both this government's recent measures to lift the worst of the stamp duty burden and of previous Conservative administrations, which is paying dividends in the form of record numbers of homes being built today. I want, like the Prime Minister, to build more houses and to do so in the right way. Accelerating development of brownfield sites is of the utmost importance, as is building beautifully. We want to grow organic communities, not impose cardboard boxes across our shires. And as with investment zones, local consent will sit at the heart of our plans. Because it is not the case that either home ownership, investment zones, or the wider challenge of levelling up can be addressed from Whitehall. We know as Conservatives that decisions are best taken as close as possible to the people that they affect. I'm proud and passionate about what devolution has brought to many of our regions and want to build on those successes. The people of Birmingham don't need me to tell them that. Andy Street has truly led the way here in the West Midlands, and we meet in a city and a region transformed by his leadership. His champion of this region is a fine example of the good that mayors can do. I want to create many more mayors in areas like the East Midlands, where Ben Bradley is leading the way, but also in the south of our country, where even if the title may differ, the principle of strong, directly elected leadership is central to enabling the highest level of devolved government. I also want to strengthen and deepen the powers of our existing mayors so that they can crack on with the work of delivery. People like Tees Valley's Ben Houchin. I want to return to a moment for what's been happening on Teesside. I talked earlier about the challenges that my home area faces, but there are also huge opportunities which Ben is helping to unlock. In so doing, he's shown just why elected mayors can make such an extraordinary difference. Whether it be in saving Teesside Airport from closure, securing thousands of new jobs in clean energy on sites like Teesworks, right next to our new Freeport. Ben champions our area, both to central government and to investors at home and abroad, delivering opportunities that until recently few would have dreamed of. He's shown what Conservatives can do locally when we are empowered to. And as we deliver, so we unlock pride and purpose. Teesside is becoming somewhere that successful people are moving to, rather than moving from, and somewhere where a child studying today at a school like St Pius's Primary can realise a bright future. So there is so much we can enable through devolution, and this is why I care so much about it. The flip side to devolving and empowering local government is that strengthening accountability is vital. I intend to support the local authority sector and to be an advocate for it, but I'll also crack down on mismanagement wherever I find it, such as in Thurrock, Nottingham or Croydon. I believe in local government because I believe it delivers for our people, the taxpayers. Where it does not, there must be effective scrutiny, turnaround programmes and consequences, and I will say more about this in the weeks ahead. Conference, there's so much else that I'm charged with delivering and on which I will expand in the months ahead. When it comes to building safety, I want to finish what my predecessors started, to fix our system for the long term, to protect leaseholders and ensure industry fixes the problems it created. I will push on with pragmatic, common sense reform that protects leaseholders, facilitates an operable insurance industry, and ensures we never have to face a tragedy like Grenfell again. The legacy of Grenfell must be better standards and safer homes for everyone. That is why I am resolved to fix the cladding issue as soon as possible. As we enter into autumn and winter, the government also remains focused on protecting the most vulnerable from rising energy costs and the wider cost of living in a world turned upside down by Putin's aggression. Our measures to protect households during the pandemic worked, and to help those facing cost of living pressures now, we're delivering thousands of pounds worth of support to households and businesses, as well as our new energy price guarantee. We will remain committed as a department, and I as Secretary of State, to doing all that we can to limit homelessness and rough sleeping. I'll be working closely with my new colleague Andrew Stevenson on this. Together, we will work to ensure that we build upon the fantastic support and dedication that this government has already given to tackle the scourge of homelessness. I know I will have the support of you all in delivering on this work, and that's why I want to end this speech by saying thank you. I know the importance of the grassroots of our party to what we're trying to achieve. You, the boots on the ground, the activists and the volunteers, the canvassers, the candidates and the councillors, are the backbone of our great party. It is because of your delivery, of leaflets through doors, of local services from our Conservative councils, and of our message of optimism and patriotism to every corner of the country, that we have the platform and the ability to deliver for the country in government. And as the Secretary of State responsible for levelling up, for local government and for communities, I want to ensure I am always working with you and for you to deliver on the extraordinary opportunities that lie ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Chancellor of the Exchequer.
Thank you, Conference. What a day. It has been tough, but we need to focus on the job in hand. We need to move forward. No more distractions, we have a plan, and we need to get on and deliver it. That's what the public expects. That's what the public expects from the government. But first conference, welcome back to Birmingham. This is a remarkable city. It has a history of great brilliance. Joseph Chamberlain in the 19th century was an extraordinary civic leader who led Birmingham and the world through the Industrial Revolution. And today, Andy Street is following in that great tradition. Grafts and grit turned this small town first into a thriving industrial market, then into one of the centres of the Industrial Revolution, which powered and grew not just the British economy, but provided the new technologies that changed the world forever. The Industrial Revolution was one of the most monumental transformations in human history, and it began here, with determination and application. Those Britons built a thriving economy. They inspire me today. They remind us that in Britain, with the British people, absolutely anything is possible. Our plan today focuses on the same bold sentiment, the same inspiration, to deal with the challenges of today by giving people the tools they need to thrive tomorrow, to get Britain moving. We have great ideas. We have the same inspirational people, and I know we have the same determination. Our growth plan, set out 10 days ago, will ensure we focus relentlessly on economic growth, because we must face up to the fact that for too long, our economy has not grown enough. The path ahead of us was one of slow, managed decline. But I refuse to accept that it is somehow Britain's destiny to fall back into middle league status, or that the tax burden reaching a 70-year high is somehow inevitable. It isn't, and it shouldn't be. We needed a new approach focused on raising economic growth, because that is the only real way to deliver opportunities, to deliver higher wages, to deliver more jobs, and crucially, to deliver that revenue to fund our precious public services. And it is the best and only way of achieving long-term fiscal sustainability. Because it is only by raising economic growth that we will spread opportunity and prosperity to every corner of our country. With economic growth, everybody benefits, and I mean everybody. While we all believe in growth, we as Conservatives also believe that it is an important principle that people should keep more of the money they earn. I don't need to tell you that. I don't need to tell you that. I don't need to tell you that. That isn't radical, that isn't irresponsible, it is a deeply held belief that we all share as Conservatives. We were faced with a 70-year high tax burden. We were confronted with low growth, and the path we were on was clearly unsustainable. So that's why we are cutting taxes for working people. That's why we will reverse the national insurance hike on the 6th of November. And that's why we will bring forward the 1p cut to the basic rate of income tax by 1 year. That's why we will take 200,000 people out of paying stamp duty altogether. Taken together, this is what our support will do for all our people. Thanks to our energy intervention, a typical person in a semi-detached property will save £1,150 on their energy bills this winter, on top of the £400 discount. And if they are earning an average salary, they will benefit from an additional tax cut of around £400. That is almost a £2,000 saving this year alone. But I can be frank, I know the plan put forward only 10 days ago has caused a little turbulence. I get it. We are listening and have listened. And now I want to focus on delivering the major parts of our growth package. Because with energy bills skyrocketing, a painful COVID aftermath, war on our continent, a 70-year high tax burden, slowing global growth rates, and glacially slow infrastructure delivery, we couldn't simply do nothing. We can't sit idly by. What Britain needs more than ever is economic growth, and a government wholly committed to economic growth. That is why we will forge a new economic deal for Britain, backed by an ironclad commitment to fiscal discipline. More businesses. More businesses, more jobs, higher pay, more money for public services. Because we cannot have a strong NHS without a strong economy. We can't have good schools without a strong economy. We cannot fund our armed forces without a strong economy. So growing our economy should be our central and guiding mission. With this plan, we are aiming for 2.5% annual trend growth. We've done it before, and we can do it again. And even in the face of extreme volatility in global markets, with major currencies wrestling an incredibly strong US dollar, and longer-term trends from demographic change to climate change, we will show that our plan is sound, that it is credible, and that it will increase growth. That is our pledge to the people of this country. However, conference, there is an immediate challenge facing not just our country, not just our people, but the whole of Europe. The high cost of energy driven by Putin's barbaric invasion of Ukraine. Cast your mind back just 4 weeks ago. We had dire warnings of extreme energy prices to come. Corner shops to heavy industry predicted unprecedented disruption. Business groups feared mass unemployment. Entire livelihoods were on the line. Make no mistake, this was a very real prospect for our country. So within 48 hours of taking office, we announced one of the most significant interventions ever conceived by the British state. Annual energy bills of up to £6,500 from next year were staring us in the face. Everybody was worried. Now we are holding down the price at an average of £2,500. Not just this winter, like the Labour Party promised, but next winter too. 2 years of significant taxpayer support to protect our people. Because this government will always be on the side of those who need help the most. For our businesses too, conference, help is on its way. A local pub could save £3,100 a month, cutting their bills by 40%. And we've also frozen alcohol duty. Make no mistake, this is a monumental support package to protect millions of families and businesses from devastating price hikes unleashed by Vladimir Putin. There is no doubt that this is a substantial intervention. But we had no choice. Doing something was simply not an option. We couldn't just cross our fingers and hope for the best. The price of inaction would have been far greater than the cost of the scheme. We will deal with the short-term shocks caused by Putin, but we must also go for growth to ensure we are much more self-sufficient. We will tackle the mistakes of the past to ensure the UK can never again be blackmailed by people such as Putin and his like. When COVID hit our shores, we were right to intervene to protect lives and livelihoods. And I can say in all sincerity that we went into that crisis in a much better position because of the action we have taken over the last decade. Because of successive Conservative governments, the UK now has the second lowest debt to GDP ratio in the G7. And throughout this urgent endeavour of ours to protect Britain from high energy costs, and in response to the urgent need to grow our economy, we have taken the appropriate action. Our entire approach will be underpinned by a strong institutional framework which enhances growth in our country, including our independent Bank of England and Office for Budget Responsibility. We will have a strong fiscal anchor, with debt falling as a proportion of GDP over the medium term. That is the Conservative way. But today we face new challenges. And in addressing those challenges, we will act in a fiscally sustainable and responsible way. That is why, shortly, we will publish our medium-term fiscal plan, setting out our approach more fully. It will set out how we plan to get debt falling as a percentage of GDP over the medium term. And I have asked the OBR to publish a full economic and fiscal forecast alongside our medium-term fiscal plan. There is no path to higher sustainable growth without fiscal responsibility. Conservatives have always known this, and we know it still. And it is because we are Conservatives that we remain absolutely committed to being serious custodians of the public purse. This is what defines us and separates us from the Labour Party. But conference, to grow the economy, we really do need to do things differently. We know that it is our towns and cities which drive much of our economic growth today. Business investment, skills, science and technology, infrastructure, housing, energy supply, strong financial services. These are the key ingredients for higher economic growth and well-funded public services. I had the great privilege of being Business Secretary for nearly 2 years. I visited every corner of this country. I saw the creativity, the drive, the entrepreneurial spirit. We have to celebrate our entrepreneurs, our business people, our job creators, people who are taking risks. But I also saw where government got in the way of progress. My job now is to free that potential. This starts with investment zones. We will empower local areas to do things differently, just as here in Birmingham. We will liberalise planning rules, releasing land and accelerating development. We will cut taxes for businesses in those zones. We will accelerate tax reliefs for new structures and for new buildings. We will provide relief on investments on plant and machinery. We will lower taxes which stop businesses hiring and skilling up their workforce. That is an unprecedented set of incentives for business to invest, to create jobs, to build right across our country. And it will start right now. Conference, we will get Britain moving. But too often regulation holds business and Britain back. Stifling red tape puts up too many barriers for entrepreneurs looking to scale up. There are too many rules for small business owners who want to take on an apprentice. There are too many burdens on our finance sector, stopping it from investing in key projects. And when Britain's innovators, job creators, entrepreneurs, and risk takers are held back, so is Britain. That is why we will review, replace, or repeal retained EU law holding our country back. We will also speed up the delivery of infrastructure and promote house building to create a true home-owning, shareholding democracy. Unapologetically and emphatically, we will get out of the way to get Britain building and on its feet. Over the coming days and weeks, we will forge ahead and break down the barriers that have held our country back for too long. On childcare, agriculture, immigration, planning, energy, broadband, business, financial services. Sensible economic reforms to produce more of the products and services we need to drive down costs, to create jobs, and to generate higher pay and productivity. And when it comes to those who would hold us back, we will act. Pernicious strike action disrupts the lives of British people and slows down our economy. It stops children going to school. It stops parents from going to work. And it stops people from getting the vital care that they need. Action which slows down our economy cannot be the policy of any serious party serious about growth. And a party which is not serious about growth can never be considered fit for office. So we will introduce important reforms to stop strike action from derailing our daily lives. Reform to get Britain moving. Conference, I am unashamedly a pro-business conservative. I know that the interests of business and hard-working families are not in conflict. They are aligned. When businesses thrive, they create more jobs, they raise wages, and they contribute more for our public services. Rather than bashing business, we are backing it. That is why we need to make our tax system simpler, more competitive, and pro-growth. So we will reverse the planned increase in corporation tax, ensuring we have the lowest rate in the G20. This will plough almost £19 billion a year back into the economy. That's £19 billion for businesses to reinvest, to create jobs and raise wages. We will reverse the reforms to IR35 that have added unnecessary complexity and cost for so many businesses. We will maintain the £1 million annual investment allowance, giving 100% tax relief on investments in plant and machinery. For over a decade, the Conservative Party has stood up for working people in this country. Since 2010, we have delivered the lowest unemployment since the 1970s, 1 million new businesses, more than doubling the tax-free personal allowance. We've taken 2 million of the lowest paid out of paying tax altogether. The national living wage, boosting the pay packets of the lowest paid. Fuel duty, frozen for 12 years. The £1,000 uplift in universal credit, making sure work always pays. These are great achievements, conservative achievements. And let us not forget, when this party came into government, we were met with the full force of Labour's economic incompetence. No money left, taxes raised, record unemployment. We reversed that story of national decline. But even after 3 election defeats, they still haven't learnt their lesson. The Labour Party would have you believe that every penny you earn should go straight into the government's coffers. The Labour Party believe that they know how to spend your money better than you do. The Labour Party believe that they can tax their way to growth. We don't believe that. We believe in low tax, high growth, and fiscal discipline. We are conservatives. And that conference is what our growth plan delivers. Last week, we saw a Labour Party with the same old ideas, renationalisation, empty slogans, no plan for growth. But we as Conservatives believe in Britain. We love this country. Our patriotism isn't something that we turn on and off and negotiate like the Labour Party. It goes to the core of what it is to be a Conservative. It is an unyielding quality. Yes, we have challenges to face. But our plan will take this country forward. We will get Britain moving. We will deliver lower taxes for you and your family, and we will grow our economy. I know we can achieve that goal. With grit, with drive, and with determination, we can meet the challenges of this new era. Thank you.